Okay, so here we are, everybody. Coach Jorge Capestany here with you with another video comparison. On the left, we have Vika Azarenka, and on the right, we have Simona Halep, two unbelievably great players with great forehands from the WTA Tour. And we're going to get into 6 checkpoints here I'm going to show you. But before we start, I just want to remind everybody, when I do these videos that are technique oriented, I like to use the phrase range of acceptability. What I'm talking about there is that I really do believe technique is super important, but I also believe that there's a lot of addiction to technique. In other words, people, they never leave it. They want to work on their technique. Every error, in their opinion, is a technical error. And so range of acceptability just means that once your technique for any given shot's in the range of acceptability, in other words, it may not be perfect, but nothing's really horribly wrong, that you might want to consider moving past technique and starting on working on strategy. So here we go. I'm going to go through the 6 checkpoints. So right away you can see that if I just pause it right here, if I draw your attention to their feet, Simona is completely in the air, and so is Vika. So you can see they're obviously light in their toes as they're getting ready for the incoming shot. They're both airborne there. Then they're going to do their split. There it is. Now let's go to stage 1 of the 6 checkpoints for the forehand, which is the unit turn. So as you can see, both these ladies, as they turn, you can tell right now that their chest is kind of facing the camera. You know, the only thing not facing the camera is really their head. So the other thing to notice is that in this case, both their rackets, their racket is in front and their chest is facing sideways, but their racket's in front. So that's kind of proof that they turn first. The old adage, take your racket back, is wrong. They turn and the racket goes back as part of it. So that's number 1 checkpoint for me. Is there a proper unit turn? Checkpoint number 2 is, and by the way, as they go back, you can see some variances here. And Simona's a little bit higher takeaway. Her racket's above her own head, where Vika's racket's kind of near her own head. Neither of that is wrong. To me, that's within the range of acceptability. Part 2 of the checkpoints is the load. So you're going to watch. The load means that they're going to put their weight on the back foot. You can see it right about here. I'm going to highlight the weight on the back foot, the weight on the back foot. And not only that, but you can see the front foot is unweighted. That's not touching the ground much, those two. So that's the load. Okay, they kind of are pushing off their back foot. Now, interestingly enough, if you were to make a little arrow, I'm going to make that an arrow. Jorge, let's get our stuff together. They're going back. Their rackets are kind of facing backish. Now let's kind of just go forward. After the load comes the explode. So what happens is the weight transfers forward. This is part 3, by the way. You can see in both cases, watch their left feet. Their left feet step forward. See how it goes forward. Perfectly synced up, by the way. And you can see a lot of similarities here. Left hand extended fully. Racket still behind them, eyes forward, completely sideways to the net. So a lot of cool things here. This is what I call step 3, the explode. So this was the load right back there, and now they're exploding right in there. Now you can see they're dropping their racket. And let's talk a little bit about a lot of people. You know, honestly, they're sometimes a bit confused with what really happens here with how low the racket gets. Like, is the racket really supposed to be that low, this low? A lot of people think it really gets low, but I think you're going to see, if I just bring this forward and right, neither of these ladies are much lower than that line. So their racket drop isn't really dropping like to their ankles or to their knees. It's just kind of a little bit underneath the ball. So you can see there's the ball and there's the line. So it just has to be a little bit, somewhat underneath the ball, not dramatically. So number 4 is the point of contact. Number 3 is the point of contact. So there you have it. So what we're going to look at here is, you can see now it's kind of reversed. Let's again focus on the feet. Down here, very little weight and no weight. Here, very little weight on that foot, and up here, no weight. So their weight has gone from the back to the front, and they're both kind of aerial. They're up in the air. You can see some other similarities, just the position of their leg. Their chest is now facing forward, whereas before it was facing the camera, kind of to the side. And you're going to see in a minute here, this is the point of contact. I like what I see is the point of contact hasn't gotten too far behind them. Now the most important one, and this is number 5, is the extension. The extension has to do with how far you go towards the target, and in my humble opinion, the number one area that juniors mess up in rec players. So you can see this is out there. You know, these ladies are reaching towards their target. It's not a chicken wing quickly sharp turning to the left. And I think that's a lot of people mess that up in rec tennis because they're trying to hit topspin, and that's why they think they have to do it. So this is the number one thing. I've done a lot of video analysis for myself, and extension, item number 6 or 5, extension is the number one difference between pros and the players. So then we're going to go to the finish. So my 2 cents on the finish is, you can see in both these cases, I like to call this the vampire. If you look at their elbow here, it's like in the old movies where a vampire would throw his cape over his face and say, I'm a vampire. See how the elbow gets up there? The rackets are both all the way around. You can see the back of these players now. You can start to see their back. So really good rotation. Regarding finishes, sometimes, obviously they finished here, kind of like right in that area. But if the finish is up there or over there, I think it's really all depends. There is no wrong finish. It just depends on what you want to do with the ball, how you want to make that ball behave. If you're trying to make the ball dip, then maybe you're going to go kind of like your swing might be pocket to pocket. And if you're going to drive the ball, it might be more like that. And if you're going to hit a topspin lob, it might be more like that. So the finishes are all dependent on how you want to make the ball behave. So I love these 2 forehands, obviously 2 unbelievably good players. And let's just take it one more time. You can see they're right back into their sweet footwork and being light on their feet. So a lot of cool things. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I just want to show you what I notice, and hopefully these videos are helpful to you. If you found them helpful, I'd love it if you would share it, make a comment, let me know what you guys think down below. And I always answer questions if you have it in the comments. So, all right, Coach Jorge Capestany checking out. Good luck to you guys on the court and with your students and with your matches.